Hello?
Hey, yo, Cutter, what up, man?
What's up, APT? What's going on?
Yo, man, I got a problem.
What's that?
I got these two girls I'm seeing, right?
Uh-huh.
They're both just so good to me. I can't decide which one I should be with.
Man, I'm going through the same thing, man. I got two girls that'll do anything for me.
Oh, boy.
It might sound crazy, baby, believe me. Got two hot ladies, they both loving me. And I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. But I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. Yo, I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. I can't have them both, so I gotta choose one. Yo, I got a hot chick living on the north side. I got a hot chick living on the south side. I got a problem cause I can't tell who to choose. They both seem like they both down to ride or die. My north side chick love to cook a brother grub. My south side chick love to give me back rubs. My north side chick down to pay your brother's tab. My south side chick always down for touch and grab. My north side chick knows how to ride the stick. My south side chick love to drive me in the whip. My north side chick loves to get all freaky. Yeah. My south side chick loves to get all freaky. Woo! They both like dress up and don't give a crap if their hair gets messed up. This is my confession. I'm just about ready to settle down, but I can't decide who I'm supposed to choose now. Oh! It might sound crazy, baby, believe me. Got two hot ladies, they both loving me. And I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. But I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. Yo, I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. I can't have them both, so I gotta choose one. Oh!
I got a hot chick living on the east side. I got a hot chick living on the west side. I got an issue, I don't know who to choose. They like me and I like them both too. My east side chick is a white girl. My west side chick is a black girl. My east side chick likes to have sex. My west side girl got some big breasts. My east side chick freaky as she wanna be. My west side chick always protecting me. My east side chick take away all my stress. My west side chick, she don't take no mess. They both so mature, they both so gorgeous. I like both of them cause they not boring. But let me slow it down, I can only choose one. I can't have them both, so I gotta pick one. It might sound crazy, baby, believe me. Got two hot ladies, they both loving me. I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. But I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. Yo, I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. I can't have them both, so I gotta choose one.
Hey yo, I tried to be a player, but the truth is, a brother never ever been this ruthless. And if they ever find out I would do this, I'd probably end up with a broken jaw, toothless.
I used to do the same thing a long time ago, but it's time for me to let that player stuff go. Cause I got two hot girls just to choose from. Yo, how you gonna decide which one to lose, son?
Man, both girls got different stuff about in my life, but I gotta dump one tonight, cause it just seems right.
I know what you mean, I want both girls in my life, but it would be wrong to have two girls for a wife.
Oh man, what are we supposed to do?
When you got two good girls, how do you choose?
I don't know, it shouldn't be as hard as this.
And if we choose the wrong one,
we'll all be pissed. Oh! It might sound crazy, baby, believe me. Got two hot ladies, they both loving me. And I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. But I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. Yo, I gotta choose one, man, I can't choose one. I can't have them both, so I gotta choose one. Oh!
Yeah. We're gonna have to dump one of them, man.
I know, man, it's gonna be hard, yo.
Well, I don't know. You figure out who you gonna get rid of.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna have to have my conversation on this side, man.
Alright, man. I hate to be the heartbreaker, though.
I'll call you tomorrow, see what's up.
That sounds good. Take care, man.
Alright. Peace.
We don't need all these cops. We don't need no billy club. Y'all done enough.
No justice, no peace. No racist police.
Enough is enough.
Somebody
Somebody imagined shackles on black wrists, and yet people believed it to make it true. Somebody imagined borders, and enough people believed it to make it true. Somebody imagined police, and enough people believed it to make it true. So we have to be the diviners of change, the disruptors of truth. We must imagine differently.
We have to stop the nonsense and take back our communities, and we have to police ourselves. Fight like Ali for your life.
This event has been deemed an unlawful assembly. You need to disperse to the east now. Failure to comply with this lawful order may subject you to arrest and forced
System of policing has got to go.
Say her name! Dress for a riot. Us or them?
Our lives matter. Black lives matter.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
It could have been me. It could have been you. It could have been anybody out here, man.
One injustice, one place is an injustice in every place. And we gotta come together.
It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Introvert Dating Success Show, courtesy of introvertdatingsuccess.com. I'm your host, as always, Harry Wilmington. This is the show, and that is the website where you can go to learn how to date as an authentic introvert using your authentic introvert charm while still getting your precious alone time. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about being a man with a dating plan. That's being a man with a dating plan. And to be honest, what inspired today's show was I have a friend of mine that I've known for like 30 years now, and he's in town visiting. And when I went over to see him at his other friend's place, they were watching Hitch. And for those of you that don't know what Hitch is a romantic comedy from I think 2005, starring Will Smith and Kevin James. And it's basically Hitch is this guy that's a romantic dating coach who helps guys out to learn how to get women. And in the process of the movie, he's helping out Kevin James's character to be able to get a woman, while at the same time, he's falling in love with Eva Longoria's character. And while he's helping Kevin James do these things the right way, he keeps messing up and all these follies happen and whatever. And he keeps like going on these dates with Eva Longoria's character, but then kind of like messing things up, but then she still manages to fall for him. And then of course, things happen during the movie whereby there's a conflict and they're not going to make it. And then they get together. And this used to be one of my favorite movies. Like I used to absolutely love the movie Hitch. And then once I got into the dating game and once I really started figuring out what works and what doesn't work, the movie became infuriating to me. And the reason I don't like it now is one of the major things that it does is it puts a cast on guys that want to try to plan out how to attract a woman and says, that's bad. Like you shouldn't do that. And I think that is a disservice to men because as a man, if you don't have a plan of action for anything you're doing, whether it's trying to build something, whether it's trying to map out going someplace, or whether it's trying to attract women, you are doomed to fail. So on today's show, what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to read through a couple of messages that I saw on a Reddit forum of these guys that were dating these girls, and then they did something, and then the girl was no longer interested. And this is just to give you an illustration of what happens when a man doesn't have a plan and when he strikes too early. And then I'm going to go into all the wonderful reasons why you need to have a plan when you're dating. So that's today's show. As always, for more of these shows, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. We are also live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at protestparty.tv. That is protestparty.tv. You can go there and get some really cool merchandise. Plus, if you like this show and you want to show your generosity, we do take tips there as well. as for yourself, if you want your own personal coaching, or if you want to check out some ebooks about how to be a better dater as an introvert, or check out some free trainings, you can catch all that stuff at introvertdatingsuccess.com. Also, if you have anything you want to have talked about on one of these shows, you can go to the website and click on the contact tab, or you can write me at harrywilmington@gmail.com. Or if you join us on the live shows, you can be in the stream chat and you can chat, and I will answer back and talk to you when you're typing in there as well. So a lot of ways to connect with us here at introvertdatingsuccess.com and at protestparty.tv. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. So the first thing I'm going to read you is, overall, so I'll go into this first. There's a thing that guys feel that they have to do in order to get women. And that's that, you have to, after seeing them for a while, whether it's a couple of dates or a couple of months or whatever, guys have been taught that there's going to be a point where they need to come to the girl and have a conversation. And it needs to be a conversation about how he cares about her and about how they've been dating for a while and how he's starting to catch feelings. And you know what? I need to express these feelings to you and let you know how I feel. And I need to come to you and ask you if you will be my girlfriend. Can you do that? And as a guy, we hear this advice and we see it as logical because we're like, well, the only way she's going to know that I want to be in a relationship with her is to come to her and say, hey, I want to be in a relationship with you. And you could try to go that method. But if you're a guy like me who has tried this several times, ultimately what usually happens is the girl feels awkward. It's usually not the right timing because guys, we're already in our head about liking the girl after 2 or 3 dates. So our timing's always off because we're always liking them if they smell good and look pretty, we're pretty much like, it's a done deal. But yeah, we come to them and we say all this stuff and we blurt out all these emotional feelings and stuff. And then the girl's like, I feel weird and awkward. And then it gets awkward. And then she stops answering your calls and she doesn't want to see you anymore. And so I've had this experience. G.Hill in the chat here says any conversation with women is pointless. So I'm guessing he's probably also had this experience. And I'm assuming he's a he. And so I want to read a couple messages that I saw on Reddit that illustrate the point that I'm talking about. And I'll kind of go through and kind of dissect what's happening and what's going on as well. So this first one, who was titled Reasons Why You Should Never Ask Women to Be Your Girl. I think I put that as the title. But anyway, so this guy writes, I've been seeing this girl for almost 2 months. Oh, by the way, this will be a good contrast because one of these guys have been seeing a girl for a couple of dates and then one's been seeing for 2 months. So you'll be able to see the contrast and the similarities between how these things play out. But anyway, so he says, I've been seeing this girl for almost 2 months now and we've been getting along pretty well. I really like her a lot. Last time we hung out, which was a week ago, I made a mistake and decided it would be a good idea to ask her to be my girlfriend. She said no, and that putting labels on things makes her uncomfortable and makes her want to run away. Afterwards, she told me that she does like me, and we kissed as we left. Okay, so now this girl said to him that she doesn't like putting labels on things and it makes her uncomfortable. And here's the reality of that statement, okay? It's that because he brought about the topic of a relationship when she wasn't quite ready, which, yes, then made her uncomfortable. And women that say that they don't want to put labels on things are lying to you. It means either they don't feel that way about you or you brought it up too soon and they don't want to completely hurt your feelings. So now they got to come up with some excuse as to why they don't want to have that title yet. And it's like, oh, because I don't do labels. But any woman that thinks that she has a high interest in you and thinks that there's a chance that other women might steal you away if they also have a high interest aren't going to say that crap. But what most guys do is they come in and they say this stuff too soon and they're not waiting for her timing to figure out when it's a good feel to actually have that conversation. And then next thing you know, it's a wrap. So continuing on with this guy's thing, he says, I'm happy to leave things where they are, but it just felt like the right time to do it at that time. And this is the problem a lot of guys have too, is again, you got to remember this guy, keep this in your head, is that how you feel about doing something and what your timing for that is usually wrong. It's usually a lot faster than a woman's timing. So while you felt it was that way, you weren't taking into consideration where she actually was in the attraction process. So you were already on cloud 9 and she was on like cloud 6. Like she was still going out with you, having a good time up to this point. She's like, this guy's great. We're just having a fun time together. He's not pressuring me, but I still feel something for him. Maybe my brain will get there. And this is month 2. And I tell you guys, it takes on average 2 to 3, sometimes 4 months for a woman's feelings to solidify enough to where she'll come to you and ask those questions that indicate she's ready for a relationship. But this guy jumped the gun because her feelings weren't all the way there. And now this happens. This past week, she's been very distant while we've been texting, and she turned me down twice to hang out. Now, why did that happen? Could it be because she doesn't want to feel the awkwardness that he has now brought up? Could it be that she's recognizing that his feelings are way more intense than hers is, and she wants to step back from that because it feels like pressure? Probably so. I can't tell, and I've been trying to keep my cool about things, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't want me to see anymore. She doesn't want to see me anymore, and she is just too afraid to say something. And that is accurate because women will tell you early on, like, oh, if we break up, I'll just be straightforward and you know, I'll just say that I don't want to be with you. And I've had women tell me that, and then I'm waiting for that speech to happen, but it doesn't happen. Instead, they just answer my texts less, they answer my phone calls less, and then it's just they kind of just flitter away. And so, yeah, don't ever rely on a woman to come to you directly and say this thing's over, unless you're like already in her space and then she's doing that. But like if you're just talking over phone and then you meet up occasionally, but you're, you know, it's not like she's been around your whole life. So she doesn't have enough respect for you at that point to do it face to face, nor does she want to deal with that awkwardness again. Like to have the conversation go from like, oh, I still like you, but I just don't want to date you. I don't want to have a title, to like, oh, remember that title thing that I didn't want to have? Well, I also don't want to be with you now. That's a weird conversation. So most women are going to just ghost or be gone. Just expect it and don't try to beg for her attention or say, well, you need to at least tell me, because her not answering your phone calls is letting you know that she doesn't want to see you anymore. Okay. Let's see. So should I ask her how she felt about things, or should I just wait it out until the next time we hang out in person and find out? So this dude's already been rejected twice, but you see, he's still holding on to hope that there's a chance that she might want to go out with him again. And I will say there is a slight chance, but it really has to boil down to like this dude backing off and giving her enough time away from him to make her start to realize, oh, I miss his company. Maybe I can get back in his good graces if I contact him again. But you trying to be there and force a conversation and force a conversation and force a meetup and make her want to meet up with you. Like you can't make a person want to do that. Either they want to or they don't. And I'm not personally in the habit of like trying to fight to see somebody that's not trying to fight to see me. So it's a wash at that point. But yeah, there's no need to like contact her and say, hey, so I just want to know, even though you're not talking to me, like how you took things and how you felt about things. Like, honestly, they don't want to have that conversation. And at this point, it's not worth your time. It's just not. Let me check the chats here real quick. So Jay Fishin says you got to be careful in rushing into things. Oftentimes it puts pressure on the other person that turns them away. Yeah, it does. But here's the thing again, because guys are literal learners. We see stuff, we hear stuff, we take it as gospel and we do it. So we see movies and all these songs talking about, just tell me what you want and I'll do it. And I felt things for you since day one and I think we should be together. And we see this and think, oh, it's effectively working in movies and music. So that must mean then that must work in real life. And it rarely ever does. But we think it does. And that's where a lot of guys mess up, is that they do these things thinking this is what the woman wants us to do. And in actuality, it's just applying pressure to the situation for her, which then makes her not want to be around the guy so much. So it really does boil down to like being able to take kind of like a more laid back approach about stuff. But you see, this guy didn't have a plan. He was just like, oh, we're just dating. And oh, I think I feel things. I should just tell her. And he didn't have in his head a mapped out idea of how to escalate properly and then how to have this conversation come about or do things that will make her want to bring the conversation into light. All right. Let's see. Could it be that she's BSing? It could be, but you know, again, I've said this on the show before. Is that there's a advice guy I used to follow named Doc Love, and he used to always have this saying. He said, "Women don't lie, men don't listen." And I like that quote because it's like, you know, a woman might not verbally say she's not interested, but all her actions will give her away. Because if you try to kiss a girl and she's like, "Oh, I'm just shy, this and that," but you go for the kiss and she's like backing away, that back away means she don't want to do it. So her body's not going to allow her to lie. But most men are we're listening to words. And that's where a lot of guys get tripped up, is they're listening to all these words that are happening. So she's saying, for example, like, oh, I still like you, while avoiding hanging out with him. So she's saying this, I like you, from over there. But don't come over here to see me, but I like you. Those are two different things. So you got to follow the actions. So that's the first Reddit. And the second one here is a little bit longer, but it's this guy that's a late bloomer. So I'll just try to pick and choose this one. But he says, I finally tried to pursue a girl for the first time and my feelings were unrequited or requited. I don't know how to say it. It says, I'm a late boomer. I've always known this. Okay, let me get to this. Okay, all that changed when I met a girl online and we chatted for a bit. I couldn't forget her as she really left an impression. She was unlike any others, witty, integrity, and wise beyond her age. This is, by the way, how guys start putting women on pedestals, is they talk to a girl for a couple of messages and are like, oh, be still my heart. And this is why I tell you guys to keep your emotions in check and in control when you first start talking to somebody, because talking does not equate with actions, does not equate with you meeting up with her, does not equate with you actually seeing if there's a bond there. So it's good that if you're, chatting with her on messages and stuff, that you're getting along and that you're able to have a good conversation, but you really got to reel back those intense feelings early on, because you got to really see what the extreme of that's going to be as you see her. So continuing on, I contacted her again and we started to write quite often. It eventually led to video chats and talks about meeting with each other. One thing I found out is that she too has very little experience with dating and relationships. I noticed she wasn't comfortable with flirting and talks about romance. Actually, at one point, she admitted it to me. Maybe I was being naive from my feelings for her, but I just thought of it as a trivial thing and it could change in the future. Eventually, we found a date to meet. I still remember that on my way to her on the train, there wasn't the slightest feeling of nervousness. I was full of hope and couldn't wait to meet her. So I do applaud the guy for not being too nervous. But again, that whole thing of like I was full of hope, and it's like indications of like, oh, I'm thinking this is it. This will be the one, and this will be the girl of my dreams. And I remember when I was 15 and I had my very first girlfriend. It was a girl. My brother had a friend who was a girl, and she had a sister that came into town every summer because her parents were divorced. And so she lived in Tennessee, but she came out. And so we would hang out during the summer and have a good time. And over time, I started developing feelings for her. So at some point, I went to her door and was like, hey, would you like to be my girlfriend? And after like a day of shock and like, oh my God, what the heck's going on? She agreed. And I remember talking to my brother one night and he was like, oh, so do you think like she could be the one? I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm only 15, so I'm not too sure, but it may be possible because those first loves that you have are always, it's like you've never experienced that feeling of intensity, and it's a new thing where like somebody actually is liking you back more than you like yourself. And that can give you those feelings like, oh, this is the one, this is going to be the end all be all, this is it. And I'm 38 now. So clearly at this point, we're not still together from 15. So you learn as you go along that those feelings don't always stay. Or my mom always said that, sometimes people come into your life for seasons, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be there forever, but you just enjoy the season while they're there. But yeah, but those first loves, man, they're intense and you don't know what you're doing. And it just makes you have so much hope because admittedly, especially as an introvert, like dating is a lot of work. Dating is a lot of energy. There's a lot of having to talk to somebody. There's a lot of having to learn how to deal with another person's energy and compromising and taking them out and spending time with them. And it's a lot. So in a perfect world, if we could just find that person on first jump, it would be great. Like introverts would be all over this stuff, but it takes more work than that. And that first person you interact with, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to probably chase them off, and you just learn bit by bit. Okay, don't do this. And next time I'm dating somebody, don't do this. Don't say this. Don't react like this. Don't tell her about this thing. Like you just learn that stuff. But I'm glad he wasn't nervous at least, because that in itself is a hard bridge to jump over. Like to not be nervous when you're trying to see somebody, it's like insane. We got a comment here. It says dating takes a lot of compromise, a lot of work. And then another person says every relationship is never the one, just the one you're dealing with. I guess that's true on some level. Like even people that are together like 30, 40 years, inevitably one of them dies first. And then you're back to like square one. So we're all going to be with somebody and single at some point. Ideally, you find somebody that's willing to like get up every day and say, I'm with you. Let's try it again. Versus like, I don't want to try this anymore. And those people are hard to come by. And honestly, part of it means having to work on yourself and knowing what to do and what not to do, which is why, if you go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, you can check out my ebooks and you can check out some video training that will help you get on the right path to hopefully finding and then keeping that person. All right. Let's continue on with his story here. So they're at the train station. They met up. He says, the date was nice. We went for a walk in nature, ate lunch she had made, and walked and talked for hours. We also visited a few shops. In total, we spent 5 hours together. Oh God. Okay. Sorry. I have PTSD and flashbacks of like old dating habits. So just as a warning to you guys out there, you want to keep your first dates to a relatively short amount of time. I typically say an hour and a half, no more than like 2 hours if you're like going to see a movie or you're walking someplace that takes a long walk back. But you got to think about the art of attracting somebody as like a slow dance. You give them a sample of you that's a really, really good sample of you, and then you go away. Okay. So most guys can usually manage to do a good sample of themselves to a woman for like an hour, hour and a half. That's like good, decent conversation, just enough to not run out of anything to say. You might get a meal, you might walk and talk someplace. But then after like that second hour mark, it can get really hard. And it's like each hour after that just gets harder and harder in terms of conversation and in terms of like trying to keep her interest, trying not to be boring. And I know there are some of you that'll say like, well, but I mean, if you guys can date for 5 hours and not get bored, then that's a good sign, right? On some levels, yes. But also you're not giving her anything to look forward to at a later time. And so if we're trying to build out an interest in her that's going to actually stay and be concrete, then you want to take your time. So you go out, show her a good time, you give her a good conversation, make her laugh a little bit. And then at the height of when things are going great, you take it away. Had a good time, gotta go. Now you leave her wondering for the next few days if you're going to call. And also, how can she have that good of a time with you again? When is that going to happen? And if she's thinking about wanting to see you, she can't be thinking about getting rid of you. So that's why you keep your date short early on. So 5 hours is way too long for a first date, way too freaking long. Continuing, I wouldn't say it was the most romantic date, as she mentioned that she wasn't any good with the whole romance thing. Part of me held back as I thought I just needed to give her time. Well, since that date, we kind of hit a plateau. I'm shocked, said not me. There was a lot of frustrations from my part as I realized I have developed feelings for her. After one date, he's already thinking that he's developed feelings. Now, what I tell guys is that feeling is going to be natural. You're going to feel as though if you had a good time on a date that you're already in love. But understand a lot of what's driving that is lust, and also a lot of what's driving that is hope. Because you're lustful that she's hot and you want to do her, and also you're hopeful that like, oh, this could be the one, okay? So you got to be mindful. That's going to be, for any good date that you have, that's going to be a feeling you have. It does not mean you are full on in love yet, because you don't really know the depths of this person. You haven't spent enough time with them to really know how they are. So you got to give that some time. So enjoy that feeling, but recognize what it is and don't be rushing into an eventual rejection, which is what's going to happen next. So there was a lot of frustrations on my part. I developed feelings for her. So a week from that date, I asked her directly how we stood. After one date, after 5 hours of knowing a person, I asked her directly how we stood. What do you think let me know in the comments. What do you think this woman said to him? What do you think this woman said when he said, I asked her directly how we stood? What do you think her response was? You've heard some of these shows now. What do you think her response possibly was? No, seriously. Anybody in the chat want to guess? What does she possibly say to this? Oh man. Well, let's see what she did. Let's see. Did she? Somebody in this thing said, "Did she ghost him?" Another person says, "Was there no response?" Let's see what happened. Okay. She told me she doesn't know if she sees me that way. It sees me the way that I see her, and quickly avoided talking about it by telling me what she had been doing. So, as you can see, when he brought his feelings to the table after one date, she's already uncomfortable. She's already like, where's this coming from? And now it's like, oh, I don't quite feel the same way, because it's almost like asking a girl on the spot, hey, tell me now, do you like me or not? But it's been one date. In her head, all she's thought is like, oh, that was a nice date. Hopefully I'll see him again. That's as far deep as she's gotten with this. And you're already ready to practically wife her up. And that's where this guy messed up. So let's see, suffice to say, I was quite devastated. I was so sure of my feelings for her. How could she not be as sure? What about all those texts? I'm sorry, I was a theater major. What about all those texts and conversations we've had? The whole experience has been quite a shock to me. I feel as if I'm going through a small crisis. It just doesn't make sense. It is as irrational as it can get. Well, no, it's not irrational at all. What's irrational is you already having the full-on hots for this girl after one date. And while she's trying to take her time to figure this out, you're just like, it's a wrap. And again, this is a mistake that guys make when they don't know the processes of dating and they don't have a plan of action going forward to know what points of escalation and attraction he needs to do to fully build up her interest. Because in most cases, even after one date, if she decides to go to bed with you or whatever, that does not mean her feelings are solidified enough to warrant getting to a relationship right then. All right. Continuing on, we haven't texted since, and that was a week ago. For me, what I don't understand is that how come I felt so strongly we were a good match and could build something that would last, while she doesn't know. I respect her feelings and have accepted that my feelings are not mirrored. He literally typed, it doth hurt like 1,000 stings from daggers. My God, what has Shakespeare done to this country and the men in this country? But anyway, so yeah. So that's basically what's going on, is that this dude, the reason why he felt so strongly, and I talked about this on a previous show, is that, per us back in the day as hunters, we had to make quick decisions about what animals to kill for the survival of our families. Unfortunately, we use that same tactic when we go into dating, where we see something and it's like, yes, that's the target. That's it. We're done. We're good. And you really need to scale that back, because you're always going to have that feeling. Even me being as good as I am at this stuff now, when I first meet a girl and I go on a good date, my first thought is like, yep, she's the one. And then I got to scale it back. Nope. You gotta do this for a little bit, because you've been wrong before. And you too have been wrong at home, where you've met a girl, you've been on a couple good dates, you thought it was all good, you try to wife her up or make her the girlfriend, and then the crazy comes out. Or then you realize, oh, she has a different political stance than you, or she doesn't want to have kids and you do, or any other things that had you done your research better, you would have found out. So be mindful that you're going to feel these things just instinctively as a guy. You're going to feel these things and think your instincts are right off the bat. And most of the time, they are not. So be sure to do your due diligence, because you don't want to be in a situation where you now got to try to break up with a girl, or you're going to get your feelings butthurt when she doesn't respond to wanting to date you like that after one date. Okay. So this goes all back to Hitch, because Hitch is that movie where, like I said, Will Smith is trying to help Kevin James out. And he's saying that for the first half of the movie, yeah, you got to be a man with a plan. You got to do this. You got to dance like that. You got to say these things. You got to kiss the girl like this. And then he gets punished for it, because as soon as the women find out he's a dating coach, and oh my God, he does these things to make guys trick women into getting with them, and how dare he? And oh my God, let me tell you something, okay? Here's the thing. And I typed this in the show notes, is that there's this idea that we've bought into as men that is very harmful to us. And it's this idea that romance just kind of happens. Romance isn't a thing to be planned out. It's a happenstance. You happen to meet somebody, and then you happen to like them, and then you somehow manage to happen to get them on the date, and then you happen to say things to them that they happen to like, and then you happen to be able to somehow get a kiss from them, and then you happen. And it's like all this stuff of like, it just happens. It just happens. And romantic comedies have done a really good job at pushing this agenda. And by the way, I'm a fan of romantic comedies. Like, I think they're complete BS, but I think they're good escapism. I like little heartfelt stories where, like, the guy's able to say, ever since I met you, we were together, and it's like, oh, it's so pretty and it's so beautiful, and it just, it's such a fantasy. And I wish it would work out like that, but this is real life, and it does not. So here's the thing. This is why that narrative is pushed so hard in these movies, is that these movies, even though I like them and other guys do like them, they're primarily written for women. Now, in the world of women, it is perfectly okay for love to be spontaneous. Now, I'll add a asterisk to that and say that since age 2, women have been training for dating. They've been getting magazines. They've been thinking about, like, Barbie and Ken. Why are 5-year-olds trying to get a man and a woman together and be in a romantic relationship? They've been getting trained by toys, by movies, by magazines, by books, princess and prince stories forever. So they've been studying the game forever. But God forbid we as guys want to have a plan of action and we're getting chastised for it. But anyway, I said the point is that so in those movies, for women, it's okay for romance to be spontaneous, because they are the ones that are receiving the things that we are supposed to be doing to attract them. So because they aren't able to plan out what we're going to do when we do the right things, then they're going to have a spontaneous reaction to that. Like, just like, oh my God, I didn't know you were going to do that. Or, oh, you made me think, because they want to feel that. Okay. And it's this thing where, because that's how they take romance and that's how they best receive it, then they assume that it needs to be that way for us also, as if, like, we are also needing to be spontaneously involved in this relationship. So for them, they're thinking, oh my God, he's doing this surprise stuff. It's so great. Oh my God, how did you know this? How'd you do this? Oh, you say the right things and blah, blah, blah. And again, they're the ones receiving all this. So it's perfectly fine for them to react that way. But as the guy, romance and dating and relationships cannot be a spontaneous thing if you want it to work. Because if you are a man going in without a plan, then for one, most women are looking for their guy to lead the relationship, and not some like controlling type of stuff, but it's in terms of like simple stuff. Like I went on a date one time, and it was like a 3rd or 4th date with a girl, and at this point, I just know when I'm dating a girl, I plan the dates. I plan in advance. Well, I'll get to that. I'll get to a list of that in a little bit, but I plan stuff out. So it was our third date, and the woman was just like, man, it's just so nice to be able to just, you call me up and say you want to go someplace, and I don't have to worry about planning anything. I don't have to worry about where we're going. I just know you're going to just handle it. And it's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to handle that crap. But yeah, it's like, I'm a man with a plan. So women want a guy that's a leader. And part of that means being able to show that you are a man that can lead and that can plan. Okay. Looking at chats over here real quick, see what's going on. All my moves came from Hitch. I will say the first part of that movie is pretty great. It's only when Will Smith's character starts simping and starts like, spilling out his feelings to Eva and, trying to beg for her to forgive him for like doing all this stuff that was not even technically wrong in the first place. Like, that's when it's just like, oh, you are leading guys astray, Will Smith. Because if you think about this, okay? In the movie, they go on 3 dates, and then they have a calamity that happens, and then he meets up with her, and she's trying to leave for this wedding or whatever, and he almost gets run over, and then he's expressing, oh, I love you, and, all the stuff I taught other guys is whatever, because I really love you. And again, in the context of an hour-and-a-half movie, it plays pretty great. But the problem is he went on 3 dates with her. So in 3 dates, he's able to profess his love and be in a relationship, and it's a wrap. And now guys at home are seeing this and thinking, oh, so I just need a couple of dates, and then we should just be in love. And then you have guys like this writing, well, I took her on a date and we should be in love. And I dated this girl for 2 months and she hadn't said anything. So I'm going to go to her and profess that my love, and that'll be it. And then it'll work. And as you can see, it typically does not work. So that's the problem with these movies, is that they're perpetrating out for guys that to have a plan is a bad idea. And I think, again, part of this becomes because women have a fear of being manipulated by guys, because honestly, it's really quite easy to do. Like, if you're a guy that looks like you have his head on his shoulders, and for the first couple of dates, you're speaking respectfully to her and showing a good time, then it can be very easy to like turn that into a thing where you're controlling her or you're making her do certain things. And I say this because women that are friends of mine have experienced this, where it's like, oh, this guy tried to do this thing, and the next thing I know, he was separating me from my friends and my family and blah, blah. And as a guy, you're thinking, well, don't women have free will? And the reality is we all technically have free will, but a woman that has high interest in a guy and is not trying to lose him will do anything to keep him. And that can result in manipulation. So when women, hear about a guy that learned how to do step-by-step things to make her feel a certain way, or to, kiss him at a certain time, or make her react in some kind of way, they feel some kind of way about that, which is why I don't typically tell guys, don't go around and brag to a girl you're dating, hey, I did this thing in X, Y, and Z to get you. But with that said, you need to still have a plan, because the reality is you're not trying to come at her with any harm. You need to be able to know what things to do that are going to build attraction, because ideally, if you're doing fun things, she's going to want to be attracted to you. And if you're wanting to be with her, then you're going to want to do things that make that happen. And I don't say make it in a sense like you're controlling it, but it's like, if you're treating somebody nice and respectful, that's just like they do for us. Like, women that are like, oh, hey, I'm going to buy this meal for you. Or, hey, I'm going to give you a massage. Or in the case of introverts, like, hey, you know what? I'm going to let you have a day to yourself to do whatever and get your alone time in. Like, they're doing things also to try to attract us guys. So I don't feel bad at all with having a plan. Like, you need to have stuff planned out to have the best, most effective version of your dating life to happen. Now, when I say plan out, what do I mean? Am I talking about like planning out dates? Am I talking about, planning out what you're going to do for her in 3 to 6 months from now? No, what I'm talking about is when I'm dating, I have a legit plan for almost every single action, word, phrase, activity that I'm going to do during the course of trying to raise this person's interest level, okay? So I put together a short list of things that I'm talking about, okay? And actually, before I get to that list, I want to talk about, let me give you a quick example of what I'm talking about, okay? So, man with the plan here, I have a plan for how to pick women up at parties. Like, because it's worked without fail, okay? So I'll give you an example. So there was this one time I went to a Halloween party, and I was dressed up as Mario. I was one of the few guys that dressed up, and I'm like, I'm even planning that out, because there's this whole idea called peacocking, where it's like you want to stand out from other guys in the pack. So when you're going to a location and there's going to be guys and girls there, women are going to be looking. And so if you don't know how to stand out in that crowd, you're going to be lost. So I figured even though it's a Halloween party, most people are going to probably try to dress in regular clothes or whatever. So I wore a Mario outfit. I was the most colorful person there. Yes. Oh, peacocking. So somebody asked about peacocking. Peacocking is a term that's used that means you're trying to stand out. Because think about like peacock feathers. Like you can't miss a peacock. It's got blue freaking green feathers and it fans out like this. It's why NBC uses it as its logo. So yeah. So when you're a guy, think about like if there's other birds in a sanctuary, and then there's a peacock, you're going to see the peacock. So you do things that make you stand out purposefully to win. So anyway, so I'm wearing a Mario outfit. And so I'm there partying and having a good time. And I see this girl walk in the room. It's like her and two of her girlfriends. And I see her. And as soon as I see her, I already have mapped out the entire plan of how I'm going to get this girl attracted to me by the end of the party. Because I've done it before. And this typically happens for me now, like when I go to parties or back when we could go to parties and I'm with a group of people or even like a short group of friends and there's a new girl in the bunch, I already have mapped out as soon as I see her. By the time this is over with, we're going to be talking, we're going to be getting a number, whatever. So she walked in and I already have a plan mapped out. And the plan was, okay, so I see her. So first I got to not talk to her for the first hour that she's here. I need to make sure that she sees me interacting with other people at this party. So that way she knows that I'm a relatively known and popular guy. Then I need her to see me dancing at some point to a song. And I need to see her dancing. I need her to see me dancing with somebody else to show that I'm a guy that knows how to have a good time and can be jovial. And then so after she's seen that for a little bit, then I'll figure out where she's at in the room and I'll find an excuse to get next to her to do something and then we'll talk. And so that's what I did. I danced for a little bit. I went around and said hi to people. I was making sure that I knew where she was at in the room so she could see me, but I was like doing my thing, whatever. And then there was a point where she was sitting next to a punch bowl. So I went, I got some punch, and I just kind of commented on the music like, hey, man, these tunes are really jamming at this party. She's like, oh, yeah, but boom. I already planned getting into the conversation. So now we're in the conversation. We're sitting there, we're talking and whatever. And at some point, I'm just kind of being flirty with her, and she comes and she sits on my lap. So at that point, now I'm like, oh, okay. So now at this point, it's on and popping. So she's sitting on my lap, we're talking. And then so now that I've got her interest, I know my next move is to go because you don't want to wear out your welcome. You want to give them a little taste and then you want to get out of there. So I sat there and said, oh, I'm about to leave, but real quick, let me get your number so we can like talk after the party or whatever. So she gave me her number, said, great, this is blah, blah, blah. I made some kind of comment, made her laugh. And then while I'm there, why the freak not try some stuff? I gave her a kiss. Now that wasn't necessarily part of the plan, but like I leaned over and she leaned back in and we kissed each other real quick. And then I said, okay, great. I got to go. And then I left. And then I called her like 2 days later. We went out to a movie, had a good time. So, but I had that mapped out from the first moment I saw her. Now imagine, somebody said, was it a white girl? No, it was a black girl. I mostly black friends, but it was an African-American woman, really fine and pretty, like gorgeous as heck. She was the prettiest girl at the entire party. And yeah, it was on and popping like that. But yeah, but imagine if I had been in that scenario where I'm at a party in a Mario outfit and this girl walks in and I don't have a plan. I'm going to probably walk up to her. Oh, hey, what's up? Oh, you're so pretty. Oh, your girlfriend saw me. And I would not be able to build up the level of attraction that I would need to be able to get the number before I decide to leave. Okay. So you can try to rush in all you want to, but it behooves you to have points of the dating process where you purposely have stuff planned. So I want to just kind of give you guys a short list of things that I have planned out when I'm doing dating. Okay. So for starters, whether I'm doing dating apps or meeting people in person, I already have openers planned out in my head. And these aren't sleazy things like, hey, baby, where you been or whatever. I like to do a thing where I already act like I'm in a conversation with the person. So for example, at the party, I'm drinking my punch and I'm like, oh man, this music is really, really good. And I just kind of say it in a way where it's like, if she chooses to respond, great. But if not, I'm just talking to myself and that's fine too. But I plan out specifically how I'm going to open up to a woman in terms of like us getting a conversation started. I plan out all first dates. Not only that, I plan out alternatives. So I might plan out, we're going to go to a pizza place. If that pizza place is closed or, whatever reason we're not allowed to go to that one, I have 4 or 5 other places already planned the freak out. I plan out how I'm going to greet the woman when I first see her, whether it's going to be a handshake, whether it's going to be a hug, whether it's going to be just pulling out a chair, depending on if she's meeting me at the place when if I'm already sitting at the place that we're going to go out when we first meet, I plan out in advance topics of conversation to bring up that will either make her laugh or allow me to find out certain information about her. I plan out transitions in conversations that lead to other places. I plan out key phrases to say to boost attraction. I plan out the length of the date. Like I said, I don't believe in dates going longer than an hour and a half tops for that first date. So I plan out that. I plan out how I'm going to say goodbye to the girl, whether it's going to be a hug or depending on how the date felt, it might be a kiss, but usually it's a hug for that first date. I plan out how long it's going to take before I call her for that second date. I plan out what second date things to suggest. And I try to plan out like things that are going to be close to her apartment. That way, on the off chance that she's really feeling it and she really wants to do some stuff, we're already close to where she lives. So I'm even planning out that whether it happens or not. I plan out what cologne to wear. I plan out in advance the answers I need to give to typical getting to know you questions. Because after you've been on a few dates, you're going to realize a lot of women are going to start asking you the same kinds of questions. And so for you to not have planned out in advance either the answers to those or plan out answers that allow you to segue into an antidote that allows you to tell a story that's really good about yourself that makes her like, oh my God, this guy's so amazing. Like I have that planned out. I plan out what stories to tell that are going to boost her image of me. I even plan out spontaneous actions. And again, you're thinking, oh, well, what if the girl says she wants somebody that's spontaneous or just is on the fly? Well, guess what, guy? You got to plan that out too. Because again, her being spontaneous is usually the result of her reacting to what you're doing. So you have to now plan in advance spontaneous stuff to happen, whether it's like, I've had it on dates where I'll be talking to a girl and we're having a good conversation and I'll just look at her out of nowhere and just be like, you are just so pretty. And then I'll go in for a kiss and it usually works. And it's not like it was a random moment. I planned that out before the date happened. So yeah, all those little moments that seem like they just happen on the cuff, you got to plan them out. Now, here's the thing though, okay? You still got to keep the events spontaneous for her. So you don't want to look like you're calculating in your head, okay, this is the part where I'm supposed to kiss her now, or this is the part where I'm supposed to say this thing. Like this stuff takes practice. So you guys need to be practicing at home, questions to ask. You need to start getting into the habit of, okay, when I'm going to ask for this date, what if she says no to this date? Or what if she says that, oh, you want to get pasta and she's allergic to cheese or pasta noodles? Oh, crap. You need to already have in advance 3 or 4 other things on your mind that you can suggest so you won't blow this thing up, okay? And again, this is why I say being a guy that plans stuff is a positive thing because the men that are the most successful in the dating game, myself included, they don't go at this on the cuff or on the fly. Like they have stuff mapped out for every part of dating escalation. Now, the good thing about being an introvert is that you're already an analytical person. So if you're able to analyze and figure out why it is you need to do these things and then figure out the best mode to do them, you're going to be ahead of most introverts who are very, very nervous and anxious. And the reason you or these other introverts might be anxious is because you don't have a plan to go to that's going to allow you to figure out how to attract this girl without chasing her away. And that's the biggest fear that we have as introverts is that we're gonna chase this girl away. We don't know what we're doing, and you have all this alone time to study this stuff. I have books at my site, I have videos, and then there's people on YouTube and stuff that there's tons of advice out there on how to get this right. But the point is, you being like, well, I just gonna hope that things happen and she'll just like me for me, and it's like you need to plan out all that stuff. And I'm telling you, once I figured this out, it made me so much better of a dater because I wasn't nervous anymore. There will be a level of it now where it's kind of like, for you, it'll be like the magic's taken away. It's kind of like, seeing Avengers and how great it is. And then you kind of look at the behind the scenes footage where it's all green screen, the monsters aren't already there. There's gonna be a portion that's just like, oh, like the magic and spontaneity of dating is kind of like gone. But the effect of that is that you can determine how you do things and know that they're going to confidently work, and you're going to be able to give the gift of spontaneity and feeling and care and kindness to women who need to feel that in order to be attracted to you. All right. We check the chats here real quick. Let's see. You can buy my books at introvertdatingsuccess.com. I got a whole book on what things not to do, and a lot of that book deals with things that guys think we should be doing, like why you shouldn't. Why we feel like we have to compliment girls all the time. We feel like we got to be the nice guy. We feel like we can't talk about sex. We feel like, we need to dress. All this stuff that I talk about in the book is very, very helpful to you guys. Plus, I got a book on texting about, the right and wrong ways to text. Because even with texting, even planning texting. I tell you guys, I use texting like a weapon. Meaning, I don't just all willy-nilly, I'm just going to text her on the fly and I'm just going to text her whatever and she's going to feel good about it. Like a lot of you guys are flying at the seat of your pants when it comes to texting and thinking, I'll just text her whatever. And how's that working out? How's that just texting some random thing in the middle of the day versus having a plan for your text and knowing what to say in these texts that will build attraction and will get you dates? I talk about that in the book as well. But yeah, all these things, every single thing that you do when you're trying to date should be planned out. And again, the good thing is, women want you to plan it out. Women have been planning their whole lives. They want a guy that knows how to play the dating game the right way. And so you being a planner means you know how to play on some level. It means you know how to escalate attraction and make her feel good. And she wants a guy that's going to make her feel good. Ask Halle Berry in Monsters Ball. Let's see. Plan it out, but keep it spontaneous. Yes, that's what I said. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked, do we practice kissing on our hands? Now, that's a whole different conversation. Actually, I have a show I'm going to do about what to do and how to plan out that first kiss, which will come a little bit later in the week. But point is, but yeah, kissing, the first few times you'll most likely be bad at it. It just is what it is. You got to go through a few things. But, again, you can look up tutorials on that. I know for the most part, most women don't like you licking their face. So for those first kisses, you kind of want to keep your mouth relatively closed. You don't want to do a whole lot of tongue unless she's just trying to swallow you whole. And then, and that's a whole different conversation about women also being bad kissers. But for you specifically, keep your mouth relatively closed and just try to, feel it out. You don't make it last too long. And I'll do a whole show about that. But yeah, but you do want to kind of plan out on some level, like, okay, like how long is this kiss going to last? I try to, for that first one, do it like 3 to 5 seconds, mostly because, again, you're trying to do what? Build anticipation. You're trying to build her interest and desire to want to have more of you. I went on a date with a girl one time where after that second date, walked to her door, and I already planned out, I know exactly what I'm going to do to get this kiss, and I'm going to talk about that in a future show. But like, I got the kiss, and I made it a point to make it only last like 5 seconds, and then I left. So fast forward to the next date, when we're hooking up, and she says to me, yeah, when we had that first kiss, like I really wanted it to last longer. And I'm like, oh, I bet you did want it to last longer. And I bet I planned that out. I bet I planned out that I'd give you a good kiss so you'd want it to last longer, so you'd want to see me again. So none of this is spontaneous, but women want a man with a plan, and you got to be that guy. So guy, get to my website, get some books, get some video training, and start learning how you can best plan for your dating life, because you're only going to help yourself if you plan. And don't let these movies and these songs lie to you about how women don't want a guy that's going to plan stuff out. No, they don't want a guy that's going to plan stuff that's going to end up hurting them and leaving them crying on their bed sheets. But they do want a guy that's going to plan to do things that make them feel good and make them giddy to see them. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with being that guy. Be that guy. Be that guy, and don't be the guy that's, going all willy-nilly and not getting the results you want, because it's not going to help you, okay? So that's pretty much all I got for today's show. Hope you guys learned a lot, and I hope you guys, if you've learned nothing from this show, learn that movies and songs are lying to you. That is fiction, and you need to plan stuff out. You ain't got to tell them that you're planning stuff out. Although, to be fair, me being a guy that's a dating coach and stuff, most women inevitably figure out that I'm a dating coach, and they still date me. So now they know that I know what I'm doing, and they know I'm giving up the game to people, and then yet they still want to see me. So there's something to be said about that as well. But anyway, for more of these shows, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. If you want to see these shows live, you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at protestparty.tv. You can chat with us in the chats, and you can get your questions answered and your stuff read on air, and it's pretty freaking sweet. If you want coaching of your own, you can go to the website, click on the coaching tab. I do allow for one-on-one coaching at the moment. Also, go there to check out some of my ebooks. A lot of the books that are there, you can read the first chapter or a few pages of it before you get it, so you can know what you're getting into when you read it. But they're all very, very helpful and designed to get you to that next step where you can be a better planner in your dating life and also know what you're doing. Also got a free training there for those of you guys that want to start getting your first messages right when you're doing online dating and phone app dating. I got a whole free training there that takes you through 5 types of messages that women can't help but respond to on these dating apps and will actually get them attracted to you. So check that out, because that's a free training at the website. All right. And for more of these shows, you can go to iTunes. You can check us out on Spotify, Google Play. These shows are posted at introvertdatingsuccess.com as well. So a lot of places to find us out there. All right. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this show. I had a blast, and be sure to check out the show again this coming Wednesday. Got some more great topics that are coming up that are all designed to help you date as the introvert that you are and still get your alone time. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you all later. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Introvert Dating Success Podcast. Visit us at introvertdatingsuccess.com for more great tips on attracting women using your natural introvert charm. Oh, yeah.